Okay, guys. So apologies for internet issues, but it's not really good to read a little bit, be in the middle of what we're talking about, and get interrupted, have to go back. That's not a good way to read and understand, and that's what we're focusing on, right? So I want to make sure that we do a good job so that we're able to read and understand. So I'm not going to talk too much about the introduction. Just a reminder that when we read the introduction, we read an anecdote about Mitzi and Leah. And that anecdote let me know that we're going to be learning about hearing dogs. We read this together, and where we left off, Talia and Vita pointed out that this paragraph told us that one of the important jobs of a hearing dog is to let their owners know if they hear a fire or smoke alarm, which is very, very important. However, I would not call this the main idea. I would call this a detail, because when we think about main idea, we want to think about the entire paragraph. This is just a piece. Like, the entire paragraph is not all about smoke alarms and fire alarms, right? Let's go back and reread. Hearing dogs listen for sounds that people with hearing loss cannot hear. These dogs alert their owners to sounds by touching them with their nose or paw. So just reading those first two sentences, I see one word twice. Sounds, sounds. So perhaps instead of focusing in really narrowly on fire and smoke alarms, maybe the main idea, when we do the main idea, we could just use the term sounds. Also, yesterday we learned that, or maybe 2 days ago, we learned that a really great place to look for main ideas is the beginning of a paragraph. So when I read that beginning and I found that word sounds twice, that's helpful, right? So I think that maybe the main idea for this section has something to do with hearing dogs just letting their owners know when there's a sound, right? I'm going to put HD for hearing dogs. Something like hearing dogs let owners know if there is a sound, whether that be a oven timer, an alarm clock, a fire alarm, a smoke alarm, a doorbell, a telephone, any type of sound. Okay, let's go on. Oh, I totally missed that little 4 there. Got to make a little chunk, don't I? Hearing dogs don't just help around the home. They also help their partners live and thrive in the world outside. People who can't hear sometimes feel lonely and isolated from other people. Hearing dogs can help their partners feel comfortable in public by making them aware of sounds. A hearing dog must wear an orange coat when in public. This tells other people that the dog's owner has some degree of hearing loss. Those other people can then adjust their own behavior when it is necessary. Again, we want to think about the main idea. What are we trying to learn from this section? Like I reminded you when we talked about paragraph 2, the beginning of the paragraph is a great place to begin our search for the main idea. Hearing dogs don't just help around the home, they also help their partners live and thrive in the world outside. So this part might be about how hearing dogs also help their owners outside their homes. Hearing dogs help owners outside homes. Now, this last tiny little paragraph, paragraph 4, is this is the first time we've seen one of these, but this is a conclusion. It's a lot like the introduction, right? It's not really an official paragraph, like hamburger style type of paragraph. It's more like a reminder about what we learned, and maybe sometimes it circles back around to what we learned about in the introduction. For example, in the introduction, we read an anecdote about Leah and Mitzi. A lot of times a conclusion will circle back around to that anecdote and just give a reminder to the reader about what they learned. Living and working side by side every day, hearing dogs and their partners become a special team, just like Mitzi and Leah. So you can see right here where they circled back to that first intro, right? And then the conclusion, well, I'm not going to fit that, sorry. I'm going to write conclusion here so I can fit the whole word. It's just a reminder that we are learning about hearing dogs helping their owners, right? When I'm done with my close reading, I always like to go back and remind myself what I read by putting all the pieces together. So in this story, Lending an Ear, I know that I'm going to, I learned about hearing dogs. I learned that hearing dogs, one of their jobs is to let owners know if there's a sound. They alert them to it. I know that hearing dogs can also help their owners outside of their house. And then the conclusion circled back around, reminding me about Mitzi and Leah and that we are learning about hearing dogs. Let's go to the questions now. Now, these are some multiple choice questions. We're going to see a lot of these because these are the types that show up on tests all the time, right? Those official tests we have to take. This first question has two parts, part A and part B. First, we want to answer part B, and we're going to, part A, and we're going to use our answer from part A in order to inform whatever we do in part B. So we can't really skip that and do this first. That doesn't make sense, right? For part A, it says, which statement below best describes the main idea in paragraph 2? It's really, really important I understand this question before I even attempt to answer it. So let's take apart this question a little bit. This question is about the main idea, and it's super important that we pay attention to this. We are not talking about the main idea of the entire story, and we're only talking about the main idea of paragraph 2. What I would do is I would go back and I would look at my note because my note is the main idea. My main idea was they let their owners know about sounds. Okay. I should have that in my brain as I look through these statements. Hearing dogs are trained to recognize the sounds of telephones and smoke alarms. What I'm trying to think about is that the main idea of paragraph 2? Is that what that entire paragraph is about? Something that happens when we first start talking about main idea, doing these types of questions, a lot of students think of these in terms of true and false. And that can get super confusing because if I think about it that way, A is true. I did read about that. And I did read about it in paragraph 2. However, we need to be careful because just because the statement is true doesn't make it the main idea. This, in fact, could be a detail. What I like to do is I like to go find something in the paragraph. So something about telephones and smoke alarms. Right here, I already circled smoke alarms. Oops. Here's telephones. I want to look at where these occur in the text. They're kind of in the middle, towards the end, but still part of the middle. I'm going to put 2M for 2 middle. Usually something found in the middle of my paragraph is not a main idea. So I'm going to eliminate this answer. Let's try this one. Hearing dogs alert their owners to sounds the owners cannot hear themselves. Again, this is true, but we're not thinking about true false. We're thinking about, is this the main idea? Alerting their owners of sounds that they cannot hear themselves. Where did I read about that? Right here, I had underlined sounds. Hearing dogs listen for sounds that people with hearing cannot hear. That sounds pretty similar. And that's right at the beginning of paragraph 2. Isn't that where we talked about a good place to look for main ideas was? I'm going to write 2B for 2 beginning, and I'm not going to cross that one out. Hearing dogs wear orange vests in public to tell people their owners have a hearing loss. That is true. I did read about that. Where did I read about that, though? Orange vest. Oh, right here. Orange coat when in public. Wait a second. What paragraph is that? That's in paragraph 3. How could that possibly be the main idea of paragraph 2 if I found that in paragraph 3? I'm going to put 3, and we're going to cross that out. Hearing dogs are happy, constant companions. True. In fact, right here, Mitzi is happy, constant, helpful companion in paragraph 1. cannot be the answer. So the best main idea for paragraph 2 is hearing dogs alert their owners to sounds the owners cannot hear themselves. Let's go to part B. Which 2 key details best support your answer in part A? Very, very important. 2 details. We cannot give 1 detail. We cannot give 3 details. It has to be the number 2. Which 2 details best support your answer in part A? Here's our answer in part A. This is why we have to do part A first, because we need to have an answer before we can support it. So let's remind ourselves. We said that hearing dogs alert their owners to sounds the owners cannot hear. A good way to think about details is to ask the question, how? How can hearing dogs alert their owners to sounds? Hearing dogs recognize many household sounds. Yeah, that's true. Again, we're not doing a true-false question. This is true. Does that support how they alert their owners? No, that just repeats it, doesn't it? It's kind of like saying the same thing again. Hearing dogs touch their owners with a paw or their nose to alert them to sounds. Does that let me know how they alert their owners to sounds? Yeah, actually it kind of does by touching them with their nose. Hearing dogs help their owners feel comfortable in public. That doesn't really talk about alerting anyone to a sound, and the whole part about public, that's in paragraph 3. And this question is still about paragraph 2. Hearing dogs lead their owners to the source of the sound. Remember, we're looking for how dogs alert their owners to sounds they cannot hear. Is leading their owner to the source of the sound a good way to alert them to a sound? I would think so. Hearing dogs are always at their owner's sides. True. Is that letting me know how they're able to alert their owners to sounds? Maybe, but I don't think it's as good as these other 2, and I'm only allowed to pick 2, so I'm going to cross that one out. Hearing dogs' orange vests make them stand out to others. I remember that part about the orange vest. That's not even in paragraph 2. That was in paragraph 3. That can't be the answer. I think the answer, the 2 best supporting details for how hearing dogs alert their owners to sounds must be choice B and choice D. The last question we have today is our short response. We're going to use the information in your chart to explain how hearing dogs help their owners. What chart are you talking about, Ms. Hanko? Well, we don't have that chart, sorry. But we are able to explain how hearing dogs help their owners. Tell why people and their dogs are a special team. Use at least 2 details from the passage. So one thing we were talking about in writing class is when we do these short written response is to think about the 2 P's, right? The first one is the prompt, okay? In the prompt, we're asked to explain how hearing dogs help their owners. HD, help owners. Okay? We're also told to include at least 2 details. So that means 2 or more details. That is what the prompt is asking me to do. Let's go to the next page because that's where we're going to write our answer. Oh, wait, there's our chart. I forgot about that. Well, that comes in handy because the second P is plan. And this type of chart is where we plan our answer. Okay? So here's our plan, the second P, the plan P. Remember, we're going to explain how, oops, you guys can't see that. We're going to explain how hearing dogs help their owners. Main idea. Guess what it is? Hearing dogs help their owners. Remember that part in race where we restate the question? That's your main idea a lot of the time, okay? Hearing dogs help their owners. I know it seems like so tricky, but really the main idea when we have a question in front of us is actually really easy because a lot of times we just repeat the question. The part we need to fill in is the examples of how they do that. But we already kind of talked about that how when we answered those questions, didn't we? For example, right here, we talked about how they alert them to sounds by touching them with their paw or their nose. Alert. I'm just going to make a note. Paw, nose. This is just me planning out, so I don't have to write complete sentences yet. We also, in that previous one, if we look back, it says they lead their owner to the source of the sound. So I'm going to write lead to sound. So I do have 2 details, but it said at least 2, and there's 3 spots. So why don't we just fill that in? Another thing we can talk about. Now, this question did not specifically say only paragraph 2. So we could probably go to paragraph 3 and pull out something else to add. It says here, they don't just help around the home, they help in the outside world. They can help their partners feel comfortable in public by making them aware of sounds. Okay, so maybe help outside home too. All right, so there's my plan. Now we just have to put this together into complete sentences in our short response. Okay, my main idea is my topic sentence. So when we think about making a hamburger, this is our top bun. Hearing dogs help their owners. Okay, now let's get some ingredients in there. I might say, for example, they alert their owner to sounds in the home by touching them with their nose or paw. Period. So there's a piece of evidence 1. I might say, after they lead their owner to the sound. So there's evidence 2 from up here. And then evidence 3. Hearing dogs can also alert owners to sounds outside the home. So there's piece of evidence 3. Now I'm doing a paragraph hamburger, so I need to finish with another bun where I basically repeat, hearing dogs help their owners. So I'm going to say that again. If you look back at the question, it says, tell why people and their dogs are a special team. That might be a great way to finish it off as my bottom bun. Okay. I might just say, hearing dogs and their owners are a special team. So it's super important we really pay attention to the question because I got 2 really good pieces of my answer straight from the question. I got my main idea by restating the question, and I even got my my repeated topic sentence by looking at the question a little bit further. What you're going to do for your exit ticket today is you don't have a lot of questions, but it is important that you answer the few questions that you do correctly. The very last question is basically asking you to type this entire paragraph in to show me that you're practicing that hamburger. Okay? All right, so sorry about the Wi-Fi, guys. Hopefully this worked.